Zelensky himself prevented himself at a certain point from talking to President, issuing a decree forbidding him to engage with President Putin. All right, if you want to talk, we never refused, but he made it through a so-called megaphone diplomacy. He made it public. The letter was boorish. If you want to talk, even if you forbade yourself to talk, you do it discreetly through the back channels so that it can be arranged in a proper way. But the way he addressed, of course, prevents us from engaging in talks under the conditions that he puts on the table. Besides, after the Kiev regime openly became engaged in terrorist practices like Starobelsk, you name it, killing scores of civilians, not as collateral damage, but deliberately striking on civilian objects. President Putin said that, and his press secretary said that we have no intention to engage in talks as long as these practices continue. UN Secretariat has, how would I put it, divorced himself for the possibility of being instrumental in resolving the crisis in Ukraine by taking sides, basically. This is one of the things that I was commenting today, where you clearly see that they are taking sides. We see how they comment on Ukraine, we see how they support basically one line, and I don't think, again, I said it openly, the current UN leadership can be instrumental in resolving, in even facilitating to resolve this crisis. What regards the next Secretary General, I don't think that she or he will be the one to resolve it, but of course she or he can be instrumental in helping to resolve it. It is on the table, it is in the blue. You know that there is another resolution about, which is promoted by Bahrain and the Gulf. At a certain point it was about to be presented to the Security Council for voting, then the matter was put aside in the hopes that US and Iran would strike a deal. We are seeing what is happening in the last couple of days in Iran, between Iran and the US, and there is a serious risk of escalation despite all the efforts by the mediators, and we're grateful to Pakistanis and other countries that are trying to facilitate. But it's not about the freedom of navigation now. It's about more serious matters, where the conflicts would escalate and erupt into something that we would like wholeheartedly to prevent. The allegations that we completely reject. We have a strict code of conduct of the Russian military, which prevent them from engaging into this kind of practices. We saw these unsubstantiated allegations. We know how these reports are being drafted and who is supplying the data for these reports. We know, unfortunately, that the Russian military are subject to cruel and sexual violence when they are prisoners of war in Ukraine. So this is an issue which has been commented. We completely refute the findings of the report. What we are witnessing today is not just a creeping annexation. We see this E1 project in the West Bank, which would divide the West Bank into two parts, and there will be no contiguity between them. We see what's happening in Gaza. The resolution by the Council 2803 doesn't work, which we were saying from day one. We gave them a chance, but it never served the purpose for which it was adopted. We hear from the Israeli government that they plan to occupy 70 some percent of the Gaza Strip. which is of course an encroachment and direct violation of the future Palestinian state territory. And of course that couldn't have happened without the support by certain Western governments, the names of which we all very well know. I mean, nothing to hide. Of course, Israel is emboldened by the U.S. backing of the issue, and in particular by this administration, even from its previous iteration. We are friends of the Syrian people first and foremost. The government it represents we are dealing with, and we I think established quite pragmatic relations with it. We said that we're not favoring any particular leader, but we're favoring the Syrian people, and if the Syrian government, the current Syrian government, is doing the right things for the Syrian people, we would also always support and encourage it. We have plans for economic cooperation. On the American efforts to encourage the Syrian government to expel the Russian troops, as you said, from Syria, I'm not aware, but I would, given the history and the experience, I would not exclude it.